And I was explaining all this stuff to him, and I realized how hard it was going to be to talk about this show with y'all and not spoil stuff because Zylla hasn't seen it yet.
I mean, it's okay. It's fine. I don't particularly mind spoilers, but it's also kind of funny.
It's part of the fun.
Yeah, Sara's got a lot of practice with her poker face.
Well, I do now. So we are ready to begin.
This is about something. The future.
Mysteries.
Prophecy.
Faith.
Struggle.
Tragedy.
Triumph. Purpose.
Justice. War.
Peace. Resistance.
Alliance.
Friendship. Family.
Stories.
Hi, friends.
Salutations.
And welcome.
This is 9 to 5. I am Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos.
I'm Ren the Barbarian. I make videos on YouTube about Star Trek and other pop culture.
And I'm Zylla Black. I make videos about all sorts of stuff, like lefty ideology and historical linguistics at Zylla's Athenaeum on YouTube.
And we are here for our very first proper episode. We are going to discuss The Emissary.
I'm ready.
The Emissary, teleplay by Michael Piller, story by Michael Piller and Rick Berman, directed by David Carson. We open at the Battle of Wolf 359. The Borg, led by an assimilated Captain Picard, are attacking several ships, including the Saratoga, where we find Commander Benjamin Sisko. Soon, the Saratoga is critically damaged and the crew must abandon ship. During the evacuation, Sisko attempts to rescue his family. He saves his son Jake, but tragically, he's too late for his wife Jennifer. She's already dead. A hysterical Sisko has to be dragged away from her body to a life pod as the Saratoga is destroyed. 3 years later, a still grieving Sisko and his son arrive at his new posting, command of a space station orbiting the planet Bajor, a station called Deep Space Nine. Bajor has recently gained its independence after 50 years of occupation by the Cardassian Empire, and the Bajoran Provisional Government has asked the Federation to help as they rebuild, hence the Starfleet presence on the station. Sisko tours the station, getting to know some of the crew: Chief of Operations Miles O'Brien, a Starfleet non-com transferred from the Enterprise; Odo, the shape-shifting head of security; and his first officer, a Bajoran former freedom fighter called Kira Nerys, who tells him the only route to Bajoran stability is through their religion and their spiritual leader, the Kai, Opaka. As luck would have it, the Kai has asked to see Sisko. At their meeting, she cryptically calls him an emissary before introducing him to an orb, an ancient space artifact that gives him a vision of the day he met Jennifer. Opaka gives him the orb to study. It may be the key to finding something called the Celestial Temple of the Prophets, the Bajoran gods. Luckily, Sisko's science officer has just arrived. Along with the brash young Dr. Bashir, Dax, the science officer, also appears young, but she's actually a joined Trill, a symbiotic species who has the memories of centuries of hosts, including Sisko's old friend Curzon. Dax sets about studying the orb while Sisko does diplomatic stuff, including meeting the commander of the local Cardassian fleet, former overseer of the occupation Gul Dukat, who, among other posturing, informs Sisko that he is also looking for the Celestial Temple. But Dax has an idea of where it might be, so she and Sisko take a runabout shuttle to investigate an area called the Denarius Belt. While poking around, a big swirly space thing opens up and sucks the runabout, spitting it out 70,000 light years from where they started, in the Gamma Quadrant. It's a wormhole. In fact, it's the first stable wormhole in Starfleet history. They try to go back through the wormhole, but something stops them partway through. Something makes the ship land, and after some weirdness, Sisko and Dax are scanned. Dax is somehow transported into an orb object, while Sisko finds himself in a white void. The orb returns Dax to the station, and after she informs the crew about the wormhole, they decide to move the station into a position near it to claim jurisdiction before the Cardassians, who are sniffing around. Inside the wormhole, Sisko finds himself making a very unusual first contact. He meets a group of aliens who have no concept of linear time. These must be the entities the Bajorans call the Prophets. They are suspicious, but Sisko offers up his own self and his own memories as testimony to humanity offering no threat. In the Alpha Quadrant, things are heating up between the station and the Cardassians. Gul Dukat takes a ship into the wormhole, which upsets the Prophets, who then close the wormhole with Dukat inside. Sisko struggles to communicate with the Prophets, showing his memories, but they don't understand why he keeps returning to the memory of Jennifer's death. Finally, when he faces his own trauma, they begin to understand. On the station, Kira is in a standoff with the Cardassians when the wormhole opens, and out comes Sisko in his runabout, towing Dukat's ship. And with that, the crisis is resolved. There is a new status quo. The Prophets have agreed to allow safe passage through the wormhole, making the station a new hub for exploration into the Gamma Quadrant, with Sisko as the station's commander, ready for his new life to begin.
All right.
All right.
So, as the one who is new to Deep Space Nine, Zylla, what did you think?
Yeah.
It was definitely a fascinating watch. It's very well acted. Sisko living up to his destined role as my favorite captain.
Oh yeah, Avery Brooks is always a hell of a performer.
Yes.
For those who didn't catch this in the previous intro episode, Picard was always my captain until I heard that Sisko punched Q in the face, and I'm like, that's it. That's all I need to know. New favorite.
It's going to be so hard for me to not speak in hyperbole when we're talking about Avery Brooks's performance, because he is just so damn good. And like, I'm so happy. Like, apparently he's left the acting game. He's now a college professor off somewhere, which, good for him if that's his passion in life, teaching others, and like, good for him. But there is always a part of me that's always going to go, man, I wish I could see him in something again.
Teaching college is a lot of fun, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it because you want to do it and not because you have no other choice.
Yeah.
Centering a show around his performance was an excellent choice. I really was impressed with pretty much all of the acting. I went in thinking, I wonder what emissary even means in this context. Was like, I was expecting an emissary from the Prophets, I guess. I wasn't quite sure. And then once it became clear that he was going to be the emissary, I'm like, that's an interesting choice of words. And then they pulled it off completely. Like, they were correct. Emissary was the right word.
Imagine if you show up to your new job that you don't really even want to work at, and they're like, oh, by the way, you're our chosen one. And you're like, what?
Yeah, their emissary is going to be a thing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure that sits easily with him. I'm sure he feels great about the idea of fate and all that jazz. I like that the miscommunication is about fourth dimensional interaction, that it's all about time. They don't know what time is because they just exist, period. Which makes no sense because they're able to react to things in time.
Mm-hmm. We will dig more into that.
But the thing that like caught my attention was not that they're like linear time. Like they went into this a little bit. It's clear that there's going to be more about it. But the first thing they say is it's corporeal. And let me tell you, as somebody who has a deep, abiding love for the weirdest of weird aliens, this is very exciting.
Yeah. Aliens who we don't even get to see their true form because they just take the form of significant figures in Sisko's life.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens that are really and truly alien in a Star Trek, no less. So not just humans with a different forehead. How exciting!
Godlike aliens.
So I'm excited to see where that goes. I also, and I guess this is a little bit of a teaser to Ren, because you haven't. Well, you've seen enough of Babylon 5 to know what I mean. I was like, what is it with the doctors, man? Why do they gotta be like that?
Have you met doctors?
Oh, Bashir.
I'm a little too familiar with doctors as the daughter of two of them, and sister of one, and there's a reason the doctors are going to doctor.
Is it too early to say that Julian Bashir is an autistic icon?
Maybe
you want him?
we'll start talking about the characters in a bit. But Ren, I know you can't really do initial thoughts. So what were your thoughts on this watch?
Well, I do remember when I watched this one for the first time, they throw so much at you, like in these first two episodes. So, Zilla, I applaud you for jumping in head first and not struggling like I did. Because even though I'd seen TNG and I was well acquainted with the Star Trek universe, it was a lot for me, and I had to rewatch it before I continued on with the rest of the episode, with the rest of the series, because I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I've watched this whole thing, and I have no idea who these people are, what's going on. But no, it's such a, like, coming back to it after having seen the whole series is such a treat, because I feel like I'm backstage at a play and I'm watching all the actors and set pieces like get into position before the curtains open. It's like a nostalgia trip. Like, I'm like, oh man, I love feisty Kira and I love Sisko and Jadzia's first on-screen meeting, and him being like, this is gonna take some getting used to, and Bashir tripping over his words, and the first introduction to Odo's shape-shifting powers. It's such a treat to come back to the show.
I never actually got to see it unspoiled because I caught later seasons when they were airing, so I didn't watch it in order for a while. But I always love to come back to this one. It's a really good place setting, really good introduction to so many of these characters. We're going to dig into the whole human explanation of humanity with baseball and all that stuff.
Baseball,
aggression, competition. Yes,
the rules don't matter.
The rules aren't important. We're explorers. God, like I said, I gotta rein it in.
Yeah. But first, I think we should do a little, like, what do we think of this world? What do we think of these characters?
So I was actually really impressed by how much they crammed in of setup and payoff, like really fast to try and introduce you to things. Like, some of it was a little clumsy. I mean, the thief throwing a weapon through Odo's head is a really silly, nonsensical way to introduce us to Odo's shape-shifting abilities. But it's useful because it immediately tells you, A, he's a shapeshifter, and B, nobody knows in universe about this either. Like, that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Odo is the first of his kind. This is not a species that we've met before.
Yes. And boy, is he surly.
And I mean, wouldn't you be? And like, they do that like consistently. Like, okay, the setup of Sisko versus Picard.
Mm-hmm.
The interaction at Wolf 359, and Sisko's loss of his wife, all of that is necessary for the big emotional beats, but also necessary for Picard actually interacting with him, which was a beautiful scene, right? Like, where Picard clearly deeply understands that there is nothing he can do except to leave with grace.
Mm-hmm.
There's no apology he can make that will mean anything. There's no way to bridge this gap, which, reinforces the things I loved about Picard, too. That he is such a diplomat and that he does care so much and understands other people. But I gotta say, like, and I know that this is partially that this is from the 90s. Why is everybody so darn sexist except for Sisko? Well, have you ever served with a Bajoran woman before? What?
What is that supposed to mean, O'Brien?
Well, I think this may be the moment to discuss Rick Berman.
Yeah.
Who is one of the writers on this. I think was he writer or no? Michael Piller was the writer, but Rick Berman was part of the story by. These are the two guys who are running Star Trek as a whole at the moment. And I gotta give it that, it is a brave decision to have a captain who dislikes Picard, and it's Rick Berman is known for not making any brave decisions at all if he can avoid it. But in this case, he was talked into it.
Not to mention to not have another white man.
Yeah, and he is very sexist. We know he's very sexist. We know he took a great deal of interest in things like the bra fittings on our female actors. It's Terry Farrell, who plays Dax, had numerous unpleasant experiences. He's also the man who put the kibosh on any queer representation. Mm-hmm. There's quite you will see there's a lot of queer subtext. I mean, Kira is one of very the primary bisexually coded character.
The queer subtext is one of the primary things I've heard about this show.
Oh yeah, Jadzia Dax is literally a trans character.
Yeah. Not
to mention there's a famous MM pairing.
Yes, we will get into
not
that.
Canon,
obviously.
It is, and the reason it is not canon is Rick Berman.
Rick fucking Berman.
He's the guy, if you've heard of 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan is an amazing actor. But she had to fight through her character basically being a sexy lamp. She gave her character and a sexy lamp in the worst example of a tight catsuit.
Yeah, they decided to make it a plot point that her character has to wear like a super constrictive, skin tight, corseted onesie as part of like a medical necessity, but it's really just to make her to thin down her waist and accentuate her bust, and like Sara said, turn her into a sexy lamp.
Yeah, it's like, in the Metal Gear series where they're like, oh, there's a super important reason why this character Quiet has to be practically naked at all times.
Yeah,
she breathes through her skin.
Yeah, so we can't blame all the male gazy crap on Rick Berman, but he's definitely the head cheerleader of the male gazy crap.
In defense of this show, it could be the have you ever worked with a Bajoran woman comment could have been like a clever conceit to Ro Laren from TNG, who O'Brien would have known and worked with.
Who Kira is based on, but the actor chose not to take the role, and I'm really glad that she did, because I think having Kira not be Star Trek, not be Starfleet, is a really good decision.
Yeah, it creates a really interesting dynamic right off the bat.
Yeah, and I love her, yes. but of course we have the feisty independent woman, so she's got to be sexualized, and we have to have the whole scene with Quark.
Why did that even happen?
Because
we're setting up that Quark is a misogynist.
That is a species trait. No, it's a cultural thing. Yeah, a lot of the reason for this is because it was 1993.
Yeah,
I am kind of glad that we have a main character coming in who is not Starfleet and, is kind of having to learn how to navigate that, because in a way, it kind of puts our friend Zylla here in the same position as Kira, like trying to figure out, I mean, I know you have seen some Star Trek, so you do have some idea, but like, I think it's good for someone who maybe hasn't seen any Star Trek before, like to have this character be like, what's the Federation all about? Are you good guys? Are you bad guys? Like, what's your motivation? What are your ulterior motives? Because it is kind of a naive, storytelling thing to just have this, nice multi-culty, altruistic collective, just be like, we just want to help out and stuff. That's our whole motivation. It's like, oh, okay, but seriously, what are you after?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I like that there's a character like Kira to ask that question.
Yeah, and to just bring us back around to Sisko's character, I really like the way he asserts authority through competence and respect rather than domineering or authoritarianism, because it'd be so easy, right, to write this character as, he walks in the room and everybody swoons, kind of,
Yeah.
He's barking out orders and everybody's like, yes sir, that's always correct sir, but instead he respects Kira right away. Even though she's disrespecting him. He respects his son and his son's autonomy in a way that I rarely see on TV, to be quite frank. Even now, Jake may not be happy with what's happening, but he has a lot of say in his own condition, and his dad goes out of his way to get buy-in. There's not really any question when Sisko leaves Jake alone in their empty quarters. Like, Sisko's like, I want you to stay here until I get back. And Jake is like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? Like, you expect, a preteen to be rebellious about that. But Sisko takes a moment to just be like, no, this is like, I'm actually concerned.
If this was a Disney Channel show, it would cut to as soon as Sisko walks out the room, Jake's gonna be like, "All right, let's see what kind of trouble I can get into," and cuts to him crawling through the rafters or something.
But this is so. As somebody who is not a kid person, people sometimes assume that I don't really care about child rearing questions, but it's actually quite the opposite. I'm very invested in the fact that children are people. And I don't think that I'd be good for children because I don't have enough patience for that kind of shenanigans and stuff. I don't have the love for it that I would need to be a parent. But I have real strong opinions when I see parents disrespecting their children and not providing them with good role modeling, autonomy, and self-determination, agency in the way that humans need in order to develop and thrive. And it is so rare, especially in older media, but even now it is really, really rare to see good parenting centered. And I was very happy to see that here.
Okay, that is one of the things that Avery Brooks really fought for. He really wanted to be a good representation for Black people, and specifically Black fatherhood. So that was something he was always conscious of, and something that impacted the writing. And also, he took Cyril Lofton, who's the young man who plays, well, he's not young anymore, but at the time, he's the actor who plays Jake. And he took him practically into his family. He would introduce him as one of his kids. They still have a close relationship.
It's so wonderful. I love it so much.
Yeah, I watched the documentary about the series, What We Leave Behind, as preparation for this. And I love we talked about Rick Berman and Mick Pillar. They run Star Trek, but the actual showrunner for Deep Space Nine is Ira Steven Behr. And he had a really respectful relationship with Avery Brooks and a really collaborative approach with the writing, which is one of the things that makes this very different from Babylon 5, because Babylon 5 is one writer and folks supporting it. And in a way, it's like Babylon 5 is kind of like opera with a composer, and this is jazz. And they describe working with Avery Brooks as jazz. So it was always collaborative. And it really is wonderful that we get this beautiful representation of fatherhood, which Avery Brooks was intending to be a representation for his people, but it leaves a representation for all of us of good parenting. And this is a thing I want to state, that this is an aspect of Sisko's character that none of us have experience of, either as parents or as Black people. So I want to invite anyone who from that experience who would like to leave comments. We will make an effort to read some comments from folks, and We would love to hear from folks of that experience, what Sisko meant to them and their thoughts on this representation. And I will endeavor to bring us, for particular episodes, I will endeavor to bring us some guests from that experience. And folks know particularly what episode I'm talking about. I will make a lot of effort there on that one.
You mean you think they might have an idea of what episode you're talking about?
Yeah. There's a few, but one the one that everybody's thinking of, which is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen.
My favorite episode of Star Trek, like not just of this show, of all of Star Trek. That's my favorite episode.
It will be a while before we get to that one, but I will endeavor to make sure we have people who can speak to that experience when we get there. For now, we're making the invitation. Please tell us what Sisko meant to you, because we that's not something we can talk about. I can talk about how I feel about Bashir as representation.
We're not really equipped to talk about the representation of Sisko and Jake and other characters down the line of that persuasion. But yeah,
we can just admire the work that they're doing.
It's a very important part of the show. Like
I said, they describe working with Sisko, working with Avery Brooks as Jazz. And yeah, that's that collaborative, that thing that really, I think is part of what makes Deep Space Nine what it is. And it was always kind of the stepchild of the franchise. A lot of the people at the time, yes, there was the response that we would expect because, oh my God, he's not white. And
oh my God, if they made this show today, they'd be screaming, woke media propaganda.
And people did at the time. There wasn't the internet, but there was people did make that kind of fuss, and they also fussed about how it's not Star Trek. They're not going to Star Trek is the Enterprise going to places. What's with people staying here and talking about their feelings? Because the idea, the inspiration was kind of like Star Trek is wagon train. It's like a Western going, the cowboy going to places. And this is like the frontier town. And it is in the middle of the action. And so the action kind of comes here and it's like what happens when you stay in one place and you deal with, a couple of different civilizations. And so, yeah.
I just want to take a second to talk about that language, which it's not inaccurate, but it does bring us back around to Bashir. And
frontier medicine.
Yeah. It's not like Bajor is an uncivilized new heir, but Bashir sure seems to think it is.
Yeah.
And,
yep.
It was actually very nice to have that moment of Kira. She could have said so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And she was actually very restrained in a way that made me respect her leadership capabilities as well.
She did not punch him.
Yeah, he was asking to be punched. He really was.
Yeah, he really was.
And it's not like she's gonna let him forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Time to be a hero, Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But it is
that language with that accent in particular.
Yeah. We really do. We as fans of Star Trek, we really do need to talk more about how the ethos of the series as a whole, as of the franchise as a whole, a lot of it is built on this idea of, expansionism and colonization, apologism. As altruistic as the Federation may portray itself to be, and and I'm sure they do have the best of intentions, it will always have the stink of colonialization on it, because they do have a tendency to just set up things and take over, like the way they're doing here. Like, yes, the Bajorian government did ask for their help, but like Kira said, we just got rid of a tyrannical dictator state. Like, how do I know that you guys are any different?
Mhm.
And even if they aren't, it's not self-governance.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that is something that is, I mean, I'm presuming, since they brought it up so strongly with these characters, that it's going to be a theme.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
but it's something that I think
I mean,
a
you heard
lot of
Picard say, like, your whole mission to be here is to get them to sign on to joining the Federation. Like,
Right.
we're not being subtle here.
Mhm.
and the difference between joining an organization of independent allies and submitting to the rule of a unifying body can be subtle when it's large and well organized like this. And the right of Indigenous peoples to self-determination is something that I'm actually really excited that this show is talking about, because I think that it's something I still don't see very much in media.
Mhm.
It's becoming more prevalent, but it really, I mean, Sarah's nodding. Canada has this conversation a little bit more loudly right now than the US does.
But
I'm
not
not
always
gonna
very well.
I'm not gonna say it's better. Just saying more loudly.
It is the sort of founding sin of Canada, in the way that, I mean, it is in America as well, but you also have to contend with slavery is the big one. And whereas Canada, above all, it is the Indigenous genocide, which is ongoing. You know, as while we also try for truth and reconciliation, there's also ways in which the cultural genocide and, in some ways, literal genocide is continuing, and we are continuing to figure out how to live as you know, several nations, indigenous and settler, you know, trying to have a dialogue about what we want our country to be. It is a thing. It is a complicated discussion, and I think it is interesting as we're also, you know, this is Dr. Bashir is our introduction to this. He is played by Siddiq Al Fayed. For the record, his full name is Siddiq Al Tahir Al Fadil Al Siddiq Abdurrahman Mohammed Ahmed Abdel Karim Al Mahdi, who was born in Sudan, and he's part British, part Sudan. He's like me in that. He begins the series under the name Siddiq Al Fadil, and later will go by Alexander Siddiq, because, you know. And he was really thrilled to get this role because he, as he said himself, he finally wasn't playing a terrorist. But it's interesting that he
just playing a young twink doctor.
Yeah, his previous sort of biggest role was as Prince Faisal in a film about Lawrence of Arabia, called Lawrence After Arabia. So yeah, it's all muddled in the sort of colonial connections and stuff, and you know, the being British, both British and Middle Eastern, and the whole, like, as much as Star Trek owes to the sort of wagon train to the styles, the Western stories, those Western stories, that sort of tradition of those, like the Westerns, does tend to owe a lot to the sort of adventure stories and things which began with King Solomon's Mines and tends to begin as British colonial things. And Lawrence of Arabia is a part of that whole tradition. So there, you know, there is, while Star Trek is also luxury gay space communism, it is also, you know, based around going places and, you know, meeting and helping the natives. And once you have a story which is actually staying in one place and dealing with the civilization, then we have to deal with with that more than, you know, when the Enterprise would then be flying off to the next place.
Yeah, you can cry Prime Directive all you like, but I mean, you know, you will inevitably end up imbuing another culture with your own cultural values and ideas.
Cultural exchange is inevitable from contact. It's necessary to keep in mind power dynamics and exchange, so that exchange doesn't become appropriation or even weaponization.
So often when the Prime Directive is broken, which happens quite a bit, like the Federation way is portrayed as like the right way. You need to change things. You need to do it this way. And by the end of the episode, the poor natives, they're like, oh yeah, thank you for showing us the light, civilized man. And it's like rarely do you see it the other way around, where the Federation comes away from it having learned something and changed their ways. It might be that way on a personal level, but it's rarely on a cultural level.
It is a charm of Deep Space Nine that we get to actually spend time dealing with cultures. And I think part of the reason they can do that is partly 1993 is, this is a time after when the British Empire had been dissolving. And also the Soviet Empire had been dissolving. So it's very much, we're talking, empires are dissolving and independence is happening, and it's not America as the bad guy. So they're a bit more open to things. Like we can, one of the reasons why that we can deal with the Cardassians as the evil empire is they are not at all coded like in a way that would make you think of America or Britain. They are definitely evil, and they're like kind of insect inspired.
They're KGB with just a touch of Nazis, yeah.
They may as well have Hugo Boss stamped on those on their carapace.
That's one thing I didn't get a sense of in this episode, is I didn't really get a sense of who the Cardassians are other than extractive assholes.
They have already been set up in Star Trek for a couple of episodes, always as, baddies who torture people and
kidnap people. There are 4 lights.
Oh, those ones. Okay.
Yeah. That's the Cardassians.
And also, like the Bajorans, though their design and stuff has very sort of Zen Asian kind of coding, they're pretty white coded too.
Yeah, when I was watching the episode with my mom, she was. I said, yeah, I always thought like the Bajoran planet like kind of had like a ancient Greece kind of thing going on, and she's like, yeah, like Greece mixed with like Asian, and I was like,
there's some inspiration in them taken from, they have survived the Holocaust, so that is also
that spoke to me, not surprisingly. Like the I grew up in the refugee camp speech from Kiro's, like I've heard this. I've I know this feeling, and the people who come to help you are just as anti-Semitic as the people who hurt you.
Well, maybe not quite as much.
It's not a worry of mine right now or anything.
I am glad that the Bajoran Cardassian thing is not like a 1-to-1 ratio with any particular group, like of persecutee dynamic in history. Like there's no like if you can see like, oh, I see this conflict in their conflict, like it's like you're not wrong but you're not right, it's a hodgepodge of a lot of different conflicts throughout history.
It's kind of realistic in that all of these things resemble each other to a degree, because there's only so many ways for people to be terrible to each other.
History doesn't repeat, but it sure does fucking rhyme.
Yeah, right. And aesthetically, there's definitely like along with the spacey lizardy stuff, there's snaky sort of thing. There is definitely fascist coding
for the Cardassians.
For the Cardassians, I think
black leather with the comb backs didn't give that away.
But I was also interested in just how nervy the secondary commander was. The I don't remember his Gul Sadat or something.
The not
Sajad.
Yeah.
He doesn't really make much of an impression, but
no, but he was like extremely trigger happy in a way that felt like he was nervous about being held accountable for the disappearance of Gul Dukat.
Mm-hmm.
In a like this is ruled by terror kind of command.
Yeah. And we will learn a lot more about Cardassians.
I'm not surprised.
But how did you like Dukat so far?
He didn't leave much of an impression. He's a jerk.
Okay.
He is a bastard. It's so funny too because I'm not personally one of them, but I know people online who like they are big fans of him.
He's a character I love to hate.
Exactly.
I mean, that's fine. Having good villains is important.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like I got to know him enough to really like. He's clearly a jerk.
Yeah,
he's not a fool. Like
he's a villain that kind of creeps up on you.
Well, they hadn't necessarily planned him to be a recurring villain. They just like his performance, and so he will return.
But like I thought his interaction with Sisko was a perfectly good fencing match. Neither of them came off as a fool, which is always nice to see. I didn't get much of an impression beyond that. So we'll see.
So on the subject of, not heroes, Quark.
I mean, aside from that weird little sexist bit at the end for sexism's sake, I guess, I actually was very happy with how that whole interaction worked out of like he's always got an angle, he's always alive to the angles of everybody else. Sisko is able to play him not without his knowledge, but like because they're playing the same game by the same rules. But he also is like not upset about that. Like he's willing to help with the scheme with Odo.
Yeah.
This is Armin Shimmerman, who at the same time was playing the principal on Buffy.
That's a villain, right?
Yes.
More like a minor antagonist, but yeah.
But just kind of a guy you love to hate.
I just want to warn you ahead of time. Me and Sara are very big Buffy fans. There'll probably be at least one reference per episode, as fans of Muppet Sex and Trauma can attest to.
That's okay. I'm just going to keep throwing Stargate in there, so it's all fine.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyway, Armin Shimmerman was one of the first to play a Ferengi because he was one of the people who, was a recurring alien character. The people who can tolerate all of that stuff on their faces.
That is a large amount of makeup.
Yeah, it was.
Shout out to Doug Jones and Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, it was like 4 hours at the makeup chair. It was a lot. He was really not happy with the performance and the writing of the earlier introduction of the Ferengi, because they kind of fell ass backwards into a terrible anti-Semitic stereotype.
Yeah,
it is shit. The first episode they have with the Ferengi,
and so in TNG they're introduced as like being purely profit driven, just greedy little guys.
Yeah, and so he was really glad of the opportunity to kind of make them into something else.
I didn't feel in this episode. I have heard before that the Ferengi are at least in some ways Jewish coded. But I didn't really feel it so much in this episode. Like, yeah, he was greedy and money focused, but it really felt more of like an underworld sort of like a mob boss style of greedy and thieving.
It's definitely more of a TNG problem. This is a problem for all of Star Trek. Alien races get like severely homogenized. Like Vulcans are all logical, Klingons are all warlike and Ferengi are all greedy and driven by profit. And in this show, that kind of gets broken down too as we get closer to Ferengi characters that we have in the show. Right now it's Quark, but there's also Rom and Nog as we go on, and Moogie, who you'll love. It's really good at breaking down, that idea of like, the alien race all has to be the same thing.
Part of the reason why we have so many alien characters is because Gene Roddenberry was still around and Rick Berman was still writing to his dictates. Roddenberry had dictated that humans did not have interpersonal conflict. They had evolved past that. which is a ridiculous notion, but also really sucks for writing characters as perspective, because how do you have a workplace show, which is in many ways a workplace show, without interpersonal conflict?
How do you have more than one character without interpersonal conflict? That's just not...
Yeah.
I mean, how do you have a character who doesn't have interpersonal conflicts? That's just not...
I'm sure he meant like the big kinds of interpersonal conflict, like
I know,
racism, which, you know, like they supplement on Star Trek. It's like, okay, well, we're not racist to each other anymore. Now we're just racist to aliens sometimes.
Yeah, Roddenberry was an interesting fellow.
It's one of those things where you hear it and you think, oh, that's sweet, and then you think about it and you're like, is it though?
He had some excellent ideas and some really, really bad ideas.
Troy Fortits.
Yeah, he's also one of the cooks in the male gaze.
Yeah, if Roddenberry was a creator today, we would call him a gooner.
I'll take your word for that, young person. That made me feel very old. But actually, if he was alive today, he would definitely be Me Too. He had some serious misogyny issues, while also at sometimes lifting up female writers and things. He kind of one of those people who wanted to be better than he was and wanted humans to be better than they were, and left us a very complicated legacy. And part of that is, like, in order to have interpersonal conflicts, the thing that they did, their solution was, well, we're just going to have a bunch of aliens, and including this alien race of capitalists who will obviously be in opposition to our luxury gay space communism. So yeah, I just keep every time I hear that phrase is like my brain just pops up, this is the future that leftist wants, and I'm like, yes yes it is. Yeah, I mean, in many, there are lots of aspects of Deep Space Nine, I think, that are what we want, but there are aspects that don't. I'm going to be critical of, as much as I love Dr. Bashir, because he was one of the first Middle Eastern folks I got to see on screen, and especially someone with a mix like mine. It's also incredibly frustrating that the entire Middle Easternness of his character, the only thing that has survived, is parents with high expectations. So everything else kind of boils down to the Britishness.
Yeah.
And that is a shame. But
okay, well, you two will understand how weird a comment this is about to be, but just I want to lampshade it for our listeners who don't know me that well. Holy cheekbones, Batman.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he is very pretty.
Very, very pretty.
I mean, I assume everybody is pretty because they're on TV. To explain a little bit more for our listeners, I don't experience aesthetic attraction, so my concept of what hotness is excessively theoretical. I'm just being glib. It's more complicated than that. But it's not even an attraction thing. I was just like, that is a shape of face I do not see. There are cheekbones and there is jawbone. And there is, like, wow, drawing that would be interesting. Like, that's where my brain goes.
It's aesthetic attraction. Yes.
And the actor who plays Kira Nerys thought so as well, then a visitor. And so they got married.
Yep. They were together for a while, and then I think they amicably separated, and they're still friendly. And they even had a kid together.
We'd love to see it.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it.
But anyway, so that was my way of talking about her Nana Visitor and her beautiful work, I think, as Kira Nerys. And yet, it's Kira Nerys is the full name, and they do a thing where the last name is first, and then the first, then the first name is last. So she's Major Kira.
Yeah. Nerys would be her given name. Like it's like Asian names where the last name comes first.
I love that we have the freedom fighter, and this is a thing that would be harder to do a decade later, is have someone with a past of, we know the other word for freedom fighter,
And they'll use it in the show, I think.
Yep. And so we will get some interesting exploration on that. And then our other female character who is currently female but has been other genders in the past. We have Dax.
The instant that she came on screen, I was like, oh yes, this is going to be the character I like the best, isn't it?
And she's my
Were
favorite.
you able to recognize that she is insanely gorgeous?
I assume that she's pretty. I don't know.
She's my favorite, and not just because she's pretty, for many reasons.
She is beautiful. She was a model prior to this, and very much in What We Left Behind, they talk about this being like her master's degree in acting. Was learning from, especially from Avery Brooks on DS9, and yeah,
she did a fantastic job for someone who doesn't have a background in acting. Like, I've seen a lot of first-time actors. She's very subtle. She's very
especially
subtle.
with Star Trek, where and she's playing a science officer, which means she has to rattle off all that pseudo scientific babble.
There's an unusual accumulation of protons. What?
Their whole plan to like make a bubble essentially around the entire space station to move it, because the thrusters wouldn't be enough. First of all, for a stationary space station, why would it have thrusters in the first place? But I digress. But
it had to be gotten into orbit in the first place,
I guess. I just assumed it was built in orbit. I don't know how space stations are built. Who am I? But like their whole plan about making the station lighter by building like a force field bubble thing around it, I was like, I'm not a scientist, but I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, but I don't care, because Colomini really sells it so well, and he is another member of our crew, Miles Edward O'Brien, who is a non-commissioned officer. He'd want us to make sure to say that he is a non-commissioned officer. He's the chief engineer, chief operations officer. Colomini, of course, has a hell of a resume as an actor. Being everybody Irish.
Our friend Danny, who is an Irish person themselves, commented and said, every Colomini is in fucking everything over here.
And he was in TNG. He is our transplant from TNG, which is why he gets the lovely scene saying goodbye to Captain Picard. He was a recurring person in the cast he's in the pilot. He doesn't have a name, but he's in the pilot of TNG, and is getting this chance to come across and bring his wife, who he married on TNG. We will meet Keiko
and their daughter Molly,
who was born on TNG.
And traumatized Worf.
There was a whole thing where Worf ended up having to play midwife.
I'm sure that went well for everybody.
We haven't met Keiko in the series yet, but we will. She will be part of the cast. Played by the
lovely Rosalind Chow.
Indeed. That means that we also have a human mixed race mixed culture family in the show as well, which is to add to the unusual things that make it what it is.
I love to see a piece of media where diversity in the cast is just assumed. Like it is not at all commented on when they introduce like that O'Brien's wife is named Keiko, which is a very Japanese name.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Keiko's his wife, of course. Why wouldn't they be?
We'll have to show you their wedding episode from TNG at some point.
Yeah, Data's Day.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful mix of Japanese stuff and Irish stuff, and it's something we expect from Star Trek, and we riot when we don't get.
This is the future liberals want.
Yes, this is always the division with Star Trek.
Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
So is the division with Trekkies. Is there some of us who are like, nope, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That is a must. That is one thing that is always important and key to Star Trek. And then there's people who are like, but it doesn't look like what I wanted it to look like. So
Yeah, we need some more white men.
Does anything need more white men?
No.
No.
There are enough
Jails.
of them.
Jails. No, I'm kidding.
If you disagree with us, then you're watching the wrong podcast. We are on the IDIC team of Star Trek, this was to clue you in. IDIC is a part of the Vulcan philosophy, and so infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
I do think it's funny that IDIC was invented to sell merchandise.
Well, it was philosophy and merchandise at the same time because it was Roddenberry.
They introduced it in an episode called "Is There in Truth No Beauty," in which Spock wears an Idic medallion. It looks like a little triangle with a circle and another circle. And like the plan was to sell them to Star Trek fans, but Leonard Nimoy was like, okay, but can we also make it like important and vital to the philosophy of the show? And Roddenberry was like, yeah, sure, that too.
This is the thing. Star Trek is both Ferengis and luxury space communism from the beginning, with a lot of dose of the prophet thrown in. But the last of our cast to talk about is Constable Odo, played by Renee Auberjonois, who is a classically trained actor with background with a lot of serious parts, and it was an unusual pick for this role, because they had this sort of like sheriff in mind, but I love what he creates.
Yeah.
snarky, like jet man made of jam.
Grouchy goo man.
I did at some point while watching this episode go, what the hell is he? Like out loud.
That is the question.
And then it became clear that nobody knows, including him.
Almost like they're setting that up as a plot line.
Yep.
Almost like.
Yeah. For now, we can just say he's a shapeshifter. As you saw, he turned into a duffel bag.
And they don't presently have a plan for what he will be in the like the writer's imagination, but it's such an interesting seed to plant and see where it goes.
Because you have a character who can literally be anything.
I'm spending some of my brain power here pondering the names that they gave to these characters and these places, like the Denarius.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call it? The Denarius Band?
Denarius Belt.
Belt. It's like you named it after a Roman coin.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
That'd be an interesting thing to dive into. I think a lot of times it's just I thought it sounded cool.
Probably. Yeah. But like Odo is such an interesting name. So for me, it immediately sparks Odon, which is the name of a character from a Nabokov novel, one of my favorite books ever. He's like the guy who makes things happen, and it's almost certainly, in my scholarly opinion, it's almost certainly a reference to the Greek word hodon, which means road, as in pathway. And so like just like pulling all that together, it gives this character a like there's going to be something central about this guy. There's going to be some way forward about this guy. But that could just be entirely spurious because Odo is a perfectly cromulent set of sounds, right? It's not like, it's not like he was named by Greek people who read Nabokov.
I will tell you that his name does have significance. I won't tell you what that significance is yet because it'll be in the show, but it does have significance.
Yeah. So there's a Star Trek tradition, starting with Spock, of having a character who is different than all the others, and who is sort of learning about humanity in some way. And we've had Spock, who is the Vulcan and human trying to figure out, how to exist in that space. And then we had Data, who is the android who is everyone's favorite, and
Android learning to love.
The autistic
Yes.
metaphor.
Yes,
He has-
this is the thing.
he
We
has
always have an
cats.
autistic metaphor.
Yeah.
We have various characters who are human and autistic, and then we have an autistic metaphor.
Yeah, which, yes, the idea of portraying an autistic person as a robot is problematic. It's something I've had to come to terms with, like, as a Star Trek fan who's autistic. It's like, I was like, at first I was like, I really don't like it when they say that, oh, Data's autistic. I'm like, yeah, because he's a robot, because autistic people don't have feelings, haha, I get it. But it's like, I'm like, on rewatching episodes of TNG, I'm like, he really is, like, it's really more deep than that.
And also, just so that it's stated out loud for the record, the idea that autistic people don't have feelings is absolutely incorrect, and I have no idea. Like, what?
Also, like, Data definitely has feelings. He just expresses them. It just comes to him in a different way.
As much as he claims he doesn't have feelings, he does. He just doesn't express them like humans do.
So now we have a character who doesn't want to be human, sort of is forced to pass as humanoid, and doesn't like it. And he's kind of the anti-Data, and I like that. It's a very interesting take.
Which is weird, because I always consider Data the anti-Spock. Like, Spock has feelings and doesn't want them, and Data, well, I mean, he does have feelings, but I mean, like, you know, he claims he doesn't have feelings, but he does want them. He does want to be like a human, and Spock doesn't want anything less than to be like a human. So I guess him and Oda have that in common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it'll be interesting what they do with him. But yeah, I do like that he's like, his immediate response to the new commander is, "Who the hell are you?" No phasers on my promenade. Yeah,
which is a good policy, by the way.
Very.
It is interesting to get into, like, you know, like the idea of Odo having to pass as a human, and I don't know if that speaks more to, like, autistic masking or, like, a white passing person of color.
I think it is a better metaphor for autistic passing, but whether that was the intention, unlikely.
Yeah. People, that's the thing. Again, like I said earlier, it's like this is a thing where people can read multiple things into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And often that makes it better.
Exactly.
So those are our characters, and we will get to know all of them better, and there will be some new folks added too. But I said we would come back to sort of the center of this episode, the whole conversation with the prophets. Mm-hmm. Although, how did we? First, we did have it ably set up by Akampa, and the whole, like, you're the emissary who doesn't want to be the emissary, and the importance of Bajoran spirituality. I like that the
Bajorans have a thing about the earlobe. Like it's not just that the Kai pinches Sisko's earlobe for some reason, but like they all have jewelry that centers on the earlobe. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. It's a nice cultural touch.
There was a thing in TNG when they introduced Rolaren, who was our proto Kira Reese, where she came aboard the Enterprise as like a new member of the crew, and she had on her earpiece, and Riker told her, take that shit off, even though it was a piece of her culture, a religious piece of jewelry. And finally at the end of the episode, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I was an asshole. You can wear your religious item.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Bajorans is that humanity in Star Trek world has moved beyond religion. Mm-hmm. This was a Gene Roddenberry thing again. Humans had to let religion go because it was divisive, and you don't like that, because it can be, but it can also be a source of great strength and beauty. And I love that in this we get a culture in Star Trek where the spirituality is a source of strength, and it's going to be a source of some interesting stories.
One thing I thought was actually really interesting, I mean, they didn't spend any time on this narratively, but it was definitely there, and I think that's part of why, is because humans don't have religion. Sisko didn't have the intel that the Bajoran religion was important. Kira telling him that the only way to prevent a civil war was to get the Kai involved and to work with the religion was the kind of intelligence that you expect a commanding officer to have been briefed on, except that it's clearly been ignored, right?
Yeah.
The Federation doesn't think this is important. So I really liked that, and I also really liked Sisko's reaction to it, which was just, okay, this is intelligence. This is good to know.
He may have known some of it, but I think like he hears Kira's perspective and hears how important it is that it matters to her.
And it would have been very easy to write him as being dismissive for much longer than he is. Is like, the priest or whoever comes up to him in the very beginning when he's on the station, and he's like, at another time, which is still more polite than you necessarily expect him to be to someone he hasn't even been introduced to.
Mm-hmm.
And he's clearly like looking back and forth between his escort and this guy, like, how seriously do I take this? What is happening? And I think it's O'Brien at that point who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. It would have been very easy for him to say, "Ugh, this nut job again," right? But instead, he's like, "Oh, now I have context. I'm going to take this seriously." Which, again, like when I pointed out earlier that he's the only non-sexist guy on the staff, it's like, it's really great to see him just respect people. Just flat out is like, yeah, you're a person, you have experiences I don't. I'm going to take you seriously.
Sisko is nothing but a mass of green flags.
Although I will say Odo, though Odo is more male presenting than male, as far as we know, it also is not sexist.
It's true. I didn't see Odo do anything sexist. I also realized, now that you've said this, that I mentally categorized Odo as non-binary, because
it's not something that was discussed at the time, but since he's literally fluid.
Yeah,
he's genderless fluid, but
not even gender fluid, just fluid.
But despite that, it will always be male presenting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it is 1993 and they didn't think about it then.
Yeah, I mean, even a show like Good Omens that has two non-binary main characters, like their
default is male presentation.
Exactly.
Default is male pronouns.
Yeah,
that is sadly still kind of the way it is.
Yeah, it's a little more understandable in 1993. Thankfully,
right.
More recent Star Trek has included people of other genders more explicitly and allowed them to present as such, because thankfully Star Trek, most certain shows accepted, tends to move forward.
Changing worlds.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we do have we have our main character showing genuine respect, and not just kind of like lip service, but genuine respect and interest in the spirituality, which is a good thing if you're going to then go meet the gods or wormhole aliens, godlike aliens,
non-corporeal aliens.
Yes.
I'm glad it's like we don't even know what they really look like, as opposed to like how Marvel does godlike aliens, which is just people in Shakespeare costumes.
I love the use of the various people he's known as thing, and then of course we have the use of baseball as our analogy too.
I have to say, If there was one character in this episode that I would have had just the most fun as an actor getting to play, it would have been Jennifer.
Mm.
Yeah.
The Jennifer alien was just great.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that. I loved that. That would have been so much fun to do.
And I love that they resisted doing they discussed physical pleasure in touch, but they didn't actually kiss. They didn't do the whole show me more of this alien thing called kissing. But yes, I love, having to talk with an alien with the face of his dead wife. If something is going to make you confront your grief,
you remember the movie Contact, yeah?
Yeah. It's been a while, but I did watch it.
I mean, I used to watch that thing over and over and over. I loved that kind of like hope for first contact sort of thing. It reminded me of that, except a lot less patronizing.
Yeah, I love how curious they are. There's a sense of being multiple personalities because there is one who is definitely like aggressive. I don't like you, but there's also definite curiosity. I love that the prophet's response is, "What are you?" Which we haven't watched Babylon 5 yet, so we can't we can't really get into our putting them in conversation thing. But
who are you?
We all know that who are you is a big question that comes up in Babylon 5.
Well, in any media, you don't just ask that question willy-nilly. Like, it's always an important thematic question, even when it's said offhandedly.
Yes, even when it's Odo saying, "Who the hell are you?" But even more when we've got a timeless alien going, "What are you?"
Yeah, I mean, I might have brought this up before. I can't recall, but have y'all read the Ancillary series by Anne Leckie?
It sounds familiar.
First of all, it's amazing. There's an alien species called the Presger. What we see are their attempt at making humanoid clones, essentially, to translate for them so that they can talk to humanity. They're weird. They're very weird. They don't. It does very much remind me of it's corporeal. Like that was a very Presger translator moment for me. Like, oh,
this obviously was made much later, but I think there's shades of Arrival too in the whole like species with a different sense of time.
Yeah, it made me think of Dr. Manhattan.
Without the big blue, anyway.
I mean, given the level of gendered nonsense on display, I wouldn't put it past them. So,
yes, well, there's always gendered nonsense.
We can have a little penis as a treat. Well, not a little penis, but you know what I mean.
No, we've just got the Bajoran designs, which are very
the other way around.
Yannick. Yes, there's definitely a theme in some of the Bajoran design stuff. But because of course we've got the big swirly whirly wormhole.
Yeah.
Cloaca. Yeah, that we have our non-corporeal aliens, and so we have set the setup for the new status quo of our show. The station has now moved to the mouth of the wormhole, and is going to be the new hub of all the things because we have a whole new quadrant of space. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Do we have any thoughts on the whole gamma of it all?
I'm interested in the fact that this wormhole is constructed between these two locations in physical space, but the beings who constructed it, like, that is just a side effect that they don't even notice. So I think that's...
What's that? You built it, don't you know?
Like, I think that's sort of a fascinating way of making them more alien, is not just time but also space. The fact that it connects to somewhere, I mean, like, this is one of the things where I, not being super familiar with the Star Trek world, felt like maybe I was missing something a little. Like, is Gamma Quadrant like somehow significant beyond being somehow far away?
The Star Trek galaxy is divided into quadrants. There is the Alpha Quadrant, which is where Earth is, because Earth was doing the charting. And it's where the station is, and about our usual alien races. There is the Beta Quadrant, which the stories haven't really explored, but it is there. There's the Gamma Quadrant, which they have now found the wormhole to, and then finally there is the Delta Quadrant, where in a few years' time a small Voyager ship will get into by other plot convenient stuff.
So it is known in the Star Trek universe that Gamma is unexplored space, far distant to anything we have.
Yeah, well, we know that space is set up in quadrants, and they tell us in this that it is 70,000 light years away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they said that like a probe had discovered the star that they were near like a long time ago. So,
I mean, I don't really like. I know that there's a difference between how warp works and how wormholes work, just based on how they were talking about wormholes. But I don't really understand how they conceive of distances in space, because it varies a lot between sci-fi properties.
Well, JMS, Joe Michael Skaczynski, who we will meet when we start talking about Babylon 5, his rule was, when people asked him about this stuff, was that things moved at the speed of plot.
Sure.
So it is fictive physics. We have warp, which has variously been known to go up at various numbers and have various top levels, and that is where people move at the speed of light, or at factors of the speed of light. And then there is wormholes, which is sort of fold space to send you from one point to another point,
like
further than
tessering.
warp can go. Then warp will take you.
Yeah. So I guess my point is just that, like, I didn't inherently know from how they were talking about it whether or not Gamma Quadrant was, we've never really gotten out there in a meaningful way, or just like that is way further away than we expected to go. Because it really could have been either. Like, if I walked out my door and wound up in, Moscow, I would be really startled, despite the fact that people live in Moscow. It's not so like that's kind of what I was not sure about in the episode. But so it's unexplored space.
Yeah, it is like they have the probe that has had some star data, so that they at least know where it is. But no, this is like the Columbus 1492 completely
they
new.
haven't really gotten around to it yet.
Place, and we hope that they behave better than he did.
I mean, that's
the bar is in hell.
Yeah,
so.
That's a pretty low bar to clear.
But yeah, it is that level of completely uncontacted. What shall we find here?
Yeah, and obviously the show will get into more of like who and what they will find on the other side of that. The station will more or less become like a hub, like they said at the end of the show, and the wormhole will kind of be like a port of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see how it all.
Yeah. We'll see what it brings.
That is the setup. So, yeah, how do we feel about going forward with Deep Space Nine?
That ought to be interesting. A lot of mysteries.
Yeah.
So obviously we don't yet have any comments from our listeners to read. We will hope. Yeah, again, we request. We would love to hear from you, especially
Absolutely.
if you come from an experience that we don't have, and what your thoughts were on all the things. We will in the future. We will have plenty of comparisons to draw. Between Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5, which is kind of like the point of this, is we want to put it in conversation with the two. It just is one of the things that I find looking at it is as much as I do love this show, and I love how diverse and the attempts at representation, even though some of them are kind of more attempts than successes. It makes me sad that we have not come further than we have, and how much we have gone backwards. Because when I watched this, I had higher hopes that we would see better 30 years later. And
they say progress isn't linear, but I thought it was a little more linear than this. It is not linear.
It is not linear, but the future is still open. We will see. And I think revisiting moments of optimism like this can be really helpful, I think, in times like our own where we are struggling to find hope. Because this is the thing about certainly my abiding memory of the early 90s with the fall of the Berlin Wall and everything, is there was so much optimism. A lot of it was naive. That's why another one of my favorite shows from the time is Quantum Leap. It's just so naive. but so hopelessly optimistic. And there's so much optimism, I think, in Deep Space Nine as well. And less so in Babylon 5 in certain ways, and it's just we'll talk about that. But
there's an episode of Doctor Who. It's a Christmas special. It takes place like during World War II, and there's this family, a mom and her children, and the father's off at war. And the day before Christmas, the mom's gotten word that the father was killed in action. And she hasn't told the children yet because, it's Christmas and she doesn't want to ruin Christmas. And of course, the kids are being kids and they're just, enjoying the Christmas and the adventure. And she keeps, snapping and yelling at them to stop being foolish and stuff. And at one point she says to the doctor, "I don't know why I keep shouting at them." And he says, "I know what you're thinking. What's the point of them being happy if they're just going to be sad later?" The answer, of course, is because they're going to be sad later.
Yeah.
The point is that we don't know what the consequences of our actions today will be, but we have hope that what we do will make a better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's the good thing about going back to something from this period, as we go back to a time when there was a lot more optimism, and remind ourselves that, you can do a lot with optimism, you can do a lot with creativity, and you can try. And I think, I think we're going to have an interesting conversation in these podcasts.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get into this show with you. Like I said, this is in my humble opinion the best Star Trek. And I'm also looking forward to seeing how it compares to Babylon 5, because I was thinking, this Star Trek in particular is so rooted in, a pre-existing world and world building. It has a lot to build off of, whereas Babylon 5, they're existing it, right out of the gate, like, from the ground up. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to know, like, how that dynamic will be different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that will be. Yeah, because next time we will be talking about The Gathering, which is a pilot. And this was a show that was already, the Deep Space Nine was already, you know, bought and ready to go when this was made. So yeah, a different setup, a very different creative team, and it'll be interesting to talk about that next time. But in the meantime, we will end with, as we have with Muppet Sex and Trauma, I will ask you, what is your favorite part of this episode?
I gotta say the baseball thing. And Sisko's whole speech about, you know, we are explorers. Just like I said, it's going to be hard for me to rein it in. I love Avery Brooks and I love Ben Sisko. Just, ugh.
It's the grin on Sisko's face when he comes up with a plan. Does it a couple of times, but it is just, you know, he goes from the very somber, serious face to just, and you just see a little hint of the teeth, and it's, chef's kiss. What about you, Sarah?
Sisko as a dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is always one of my all-time favorite parts of his character, and yeah, I think like the scene at the pond, and yeah, the you know, the joy when they're reconnected at the end. It's like, yeah, it's just, I love Sisko and Jake's relationship, and it's all set up here. And I love, you know, as much as I do enjoy Wesley Crusher, because I was a teenager when I watched it. I recognize that it's not the best acting or writing for a child, and he's kind of annoying when I realized when I watched it as an adult. But yeah. Jake is not annoying. Cyric Lofton is very good for a child actor. She often comes down a lot to the direction, but also clearly like the help he's getting from Avery Brooks. And yeah, it just comes together as this beautiful father-son dynamic that is already set up from bang moment one of them on the you know, talking at the pond. And also I kind of love the way that he when he tells Jennifer that he's going to cook for her, and the way he says, "Oh, but I will make for you my father's aubergine." It's just a particularly charming piece of writing.
I do find it funny that a man from Louisiana calls it an aubergine and not an eggplant. I mean, I guess they are kind of French down there, so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, we will trace Sisko and food. We will definitely be tracing the whole Sisko and food angle.
Well, that's very exciting. Making me hungry. Actually, it's time for me to go eat dinner.
Yeah, I think of all the Star Trek captains, like Sisko probably has the richest inner life.
We have met Benjamin Lafayette Sisko and all of his work, his crew, and the residents of Deep Space Nine. And we're gonna next episode we will meet Commander Sinclair and all of the residents of, well, some of the residents of Babylon 5, the last best hope for peace. So we shall finish with the question: who are you, and where can folks find you?
I'm Zylla. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Zylla's Athenaeum, or on Twitch, Blue Sky, or Mastodon at Zillable. That's syllable, but with a Z.
And I am Ren the Barbarian. You can find me here on YouTube as Ren the Barbarian. You can also find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Tumblr as Ren the Barbarian.
And I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube. You can find them there. And you can also follow me on Blue Sky. And you can follow the podcast at 9 to 5 Sci-Fi Pod. And you can also email us and join our Patreon, which has a Discord attached if you want to join the folks that were already with us from Muppet Sex and Trauma days. And yeah, if you want to help us keep the lights on and pay for the stuff, then you can join the Patreon, or there's also links to give me a one-time tip if you want for all the editing and stuff. Yeah, we will be back in 2 weeks with The Gathering.
Woo!
Live long and prosper.
We are explorers.
9 to 5 is produced by me, Sara Ezzat. Editing duties are shared between me and Ren, and our wonderful theme music is made by Samantha Duke. Next episode, we will meet Commander Sheridan. No, we will not.